Well, today we are on another new set. It is a set that I got out of the box and we did a tune on off camera about 5 or 6 years ago when it came out. And this is the Cobra 19DXIVEU, so 4EU and 46. Oh no, I can't even read. 4949 serial number. Widening power lead. Somebody asked me if I've done one of these before, and we have. We had a customer who wanted to buy some of these, and so we bought a sample, which we would do just to evaluate it for him. But I've forgotten what evaluation was. I actually think that we liked it, but I might be able to change my mind 6 years later, so we'll see. But I think at the time we liked it. But I didn't like the power lead being permanently wired in. Depends what you're doing, doesn't it? And a bit of a namby-pamby daft shaped microphone which looks like a snake. Yeah, right. So this has been kicking around ever since. Now yesterday when I put on the 18 amp power supply we use for business radios, it caused a hum to the microphone, so we use the 2.5 amp normal power supply we use, and I'll switch that on and let's hope there isn't a hum generated by it. So I've no way of monitoring the sound on this daft mixer unless I'm missing something in the 400-page instruction book. There we go, it's on UK and it was last on 37. Now I've already serviced this, but we can, what happens when you do that? We'll go through it again. So presumably you switch it on, I haven't got the instruction book to hand, with the norm button. I don't know, let's see if you do it with that button pressed. Yes, you do. Then you select it off the list like that, and presumably we do that. We do. Switch it off, switch it back on, and it's definitely in UK mode. I don't know, it's a weird thing, this CB, like. It seems to me the more expensive the radios, the inferior they work. So it looks like we've got the £49.99 sets which work great, and then we've got the £240 sets that are dismal performers. So it's not a pluggable speaker, so we'll just put the soldering iron on. Actually, there might be enough, I think there's enough wire not to unsolder that. So because these are about 6 years old now, although they are still current, there's quite a few adjustments. And I'm sure that when we tuned it up for a quick evaluation, it was a quick tune-up rather than a more detailed one. So it doesn't hurt to do it again. So the printed circuit board says on it 19DXIVEU. So, you know, it tells us that it's custom for this product. And I think we're on the better type of fiberglass board. So if we had access to a service manual, there's test points. But we don't have access to a service manual. In fact, we've got nothing. I don't think we've even got the instruction book on file. But I've no doubt we've got it because we bought the set new, so I'll have the box kicking about. Anyway, let's. I'll go for picture in picture, and then we can see together what power this is doing. So key it up, and I'll go in the 3 watt scale. So full scale deflection is 3 watts. Helps if I switch the radio on. And it's 3 watts. So if we go over to the scale, it's just about 3 watts. So we're greeted with what? VR2, VR1, VR2 again. This is 2-1. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 6. Any advance on that? No. And your VCO is going to be that one there. I'm just going to see if I can find my notes from 6 years ago. And the answer is no, I can't. Okay, so we'll start afresh. So our transmit chain is clearly going to be whatever coils are in the cans, and there are 2 there. That'll be the, if there is one there, that'll be the 54 meg trap, so we're not going to touch that. Okay, so we'll key up. I'll go on the 3 watt range because we're quite close to, there we go, quite close to full scale deflection. That's peak there and there. Now it's the guesswork time. What's going to be power? Because this is going to be the AM modulation transformer when it's in that mode. So is there a preset near there? Is that a voltage regulator? So is that something which is going to affect transmitting it? Probably. Yes, that's it. Well, that was a good guess. And we managed to get about 3.2 watts out of it. So that's probably modulation. Right, deviation. Let's see where we are with that. Now we'll have adjusted this. Chances are it's going to be one of those 2. Wallow. 1, 2, 1, 2. Wallow. That's it. I've got it slightly high how I had it before. So deviation was RV1, power was RV4. When we key up, is there some kind of graph? There is. So we've got to determine whether that's a real graph or whether it is a pretend one. So we'll go back down to power and we'll adjust the power down and see whether that graph goes down. So let's turn that down. It does. So we're now pushing out 1 1/4 watts and the graph display's gone down, and then we turn that up and it's gone up. So it is a real power meter ish. So that's going to have an adjustment. So am I going to upset the other 4 adjustments in the hope of looking for it. Let's have a look. The answer is, of course, yes, because it doesn't matter. These will be received, but I'm still go through them. No, it is. It's that one. There we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. There we go. So that is the bar graph driver for transmit. So we've now got transmit power meter, and deviation. So let's see what else we can discover. One of these is going to be AM modulation. So now we'll have to reset it for a country that is AM. That seems to work well. So we're now on AM. I'll use channel 40 because I'm not tuning this up. I just want to correct it if I've messed up the AM, which I probably have. So we'll find out what that is in a moment. Oops, better unplug the extension speaker. So we've still got 3.2 watts. We're on 27405-ish. We'll just set the modulation meter now. Warlow 1212 Warlow. So I'll get the oscillator back and let's find out which of these presets it is. Well, that's one we messed up. It's not that. It's another we messed up. It's that. So there we go. It's AM mod is RV3. So I'll just go back now to setting this for UK. There we go. I don't think that does anything, the mode switch. No. So if you wanted CPT channels, you need to set it for CPT channels. So when it's in UK, it looks to be UK 40 only. I'll just check it doesn't wrap round. No. So that just leaves us with that adjustment and that adjustment. That's probably squelch, and the other's probably the S meter. That seems logical to me. Now let's just see whether this thing's on frequency. So we'll just move the camera across to the frequency counter. Just like that. So it should be 27,79125, slightly high, and let's see whether that is adjustable. It is, and the trimmer capacitor is there. That tool doesn't want to go in. Well, that's overshot it. Either side of it. I should have left it at 30. It's quite near enough. That'll do. 2779123. Okay, so I think we've done transmit. Just check once again. About 3.4 watts. It's on frequency, the deviation's correct, the AM modulation's correct, and it's reading a lie of a 4 on the graph. That's how you set them. So we'll move over to receive, see how it's doing. I'll plug the extension speaker back in. I now wish I'd unsoldered that speaker now, because it's in the way. Now these radios have an RF gain which is concentric with squelch. So squelch is the inner and RF gain is the outer. Right, we'll move the camera onto the oscilloscope. And we'll look at, that sounds rather strangled to me, but we'll look at the recovered audio, and we'll look for maximum recovered audio. Should be the transformer there, by the looks of where it is in the circuit. Conversely, it could be that one. So I'll go for that one. Yeah, it is that one. Very fine adjustment there. But it's a bit of a wishy-washy adjustment if you ask me. Okay, we'll go over to the synad. There we are with the synad meter on. That's 0.3 of a microvolt, and that's about where we want it to do the tuning. So this will be the front end. See whether we can get any improvement. Fraction there. No, I think that's where we are with it. So while we've got the signal generator on and we're on S9, let's see where this bar graph is. Well, we've got a full set of, we've got plus 30, but of course I've upset that. So chances are it's going to be the VR2-1 there. But you know what, it isn't. So it must be that one there, it must be our V6. It is. So that's S9. We've got that now set to S9. Let's go for plus 30, and it goes up to plus 30. So that's now set fine. So that RV6 is the S meter. So the only one now is VR2-1. Let's see if we can get a synad reading then. Now, I've had a lot of sets which are pretty noisy recently, and so they haven't given a good cyanide reading, even though in the field they've performed fine. So this isn't the be-all and end-all. For a start, let's see what we can hear the radio going down to. We can hear it down to about 1.7 microvolts. So let's see how that relates. So for 20 dB cyanide, I better write this down. Cobra what? 19DX. DX is supposed to mean long distance, isn't it? Well, it does in radio ham speak, so why is it only 3.2 watts? It's really DX, isn't it? I wonder who makes these names up. I don't think this is anything to do with Cobra back in the Uniden days, or even Cobra in the Maxon days. I mean, who makes this? It's somewhere in China, isn't it? But I'm getting the impression it works a bit better than that Cobra 29 we recently did, or the 25 and 29 from the early 2000s, which are abysmal set. So for 20 dB cyanide, we are getting 5 microvolts. So for the important one, just not quite 1 microvolt. Yeah, it's 1.2 microvolts for 12 decibel. And then for 10 decibel cyanide, .95. So again, it's not outstanding on the bench, but it seems to be sensitive enough as to how far we can hear down on the signal generator. Right, I'm going to put squelch to full, and we'll see where that comes in. So we may as well pop this down onto the attenuator controls, so you can see me wrestling with the attenuator. So at the moment we're on 1 microvolt and we've got the squelch on full. I want the squelch to come in on full at S9, which is 100 microvolts. So it's 1, 3, 10, 30, 100, 300. So that's 2 coarse. So is our mystery preset down here the squelch? Yeah. Excellent. There we are. We're coming in at 100 microvolts and going out at 30, but that's fine. Well, I'm pleased. So we found out every preset does in the radio. Well, that's a turn up for the books. Right, we'll set the radio to minimum squelch and switch the signal generator back on. And the squelch is coming in at 0.3 of a microvolt. and actually leaving at 0.06 of a microvolt. So on the face of that, it's a very sensitive radio, but the poor cyanide reading is once again down to it being a bit on the noisy side, and that isn't something to worry about. At the end of the day, these things are made down to price, aren't they? It shouldn't affect it in real life. So we'll do an on-the-air test with this. If Mr C's around today, which I hope he is. So we'll just button this up. Right, so we're on the roof area now. One Anna Roger. Okay, well it's about 10:30 on Saturday morning, and obviously nobody's out of bed or in range. Remember, we're 35 miles away from the nearest city in the middle of nowhere, and although we do have day-to-day activity with a local quarry and farmers, being a Saturday, there's not going to be any, shall we say, business users of CB radio out there. So we'll do an on-the-air test later. I'll just have a quick chat about watts. When I quote watts here, and I say this is 3.2 or something like that, 3.5, whatever we got out of it. Remember, this is a commercial two-way radio test set. If I put this, I've done this power meter comparison. If you want to search for comparison on power meters, we compared it to a well-respected CB meter, and 3 of our watts was probably 4 CB reasonable watts. Some of the amateur radio, and I'm talking about licensed amateur radio, not pretend amateur radio. Some of the licensed amateur radio meters also leave something to be desired. And I think the worst ones we've tested were the Zetagi products. What we say is 3 watts will be probably 7 of their watts. But I know they make illegal amplifiers, so it makes their illegal amplifiers look better, doesn't it, on their wishy-washy meters. So never worry when I say something's 3 watts, because as far as CB goes, that's going to be 4 CB watts. I know it shouldn't be like that, but it is. So we've got commercial watts, and we've got genuine ham radio watts, and we've got CB watts. And you've only got to cast your mind back to hi-fi, and some of the places in the UK, and I can only talk for the UK, but there were such wild claims for what power output on hi-fi amplifiers. And I can cast my mind back to about 1981, and Dixon's, as Curry's used to be, they had a what you'd call a boom box, and he said it was 68 watts output. Well, you can't get 68 watts out of a set of D cells. You know, it might actually have been 4 watts, both channels fully driven. It might have been. I'm not there to test it. But another comparison was they had a MIDI music center thing, and they said that was something ridiculous like 68 watts. And Tandy's, as Radio Shack was in the UK till it got bought up and closed by Carphone Warehouse, they had exactly the same unit, but with their name on instead of Curry's name on. And Tandy said it was something like 8 watts per channel RMS, and that was the truth. It wasn't 64 Dixon's watts. So we've always had this problem. So don't worry about it and don't put off a set. If I get 4 watts out of a set, it could well be 7 CB watts. But as far as legality goes, my test set's calibrated, and so I know that they're 4 real watts. So sorry about that rant, but we get these questions, and anyway, it doesn't make any difference. There's a radio ham I've had 9,000 miles on 200 milliwatts, which is a fifth of a watt. So you know, it really doesn't matter. And we've all known, when there's a lift on, you can talk to Germany on 4 watts, no problem whatsoever. You can't talk to your next door neighbour because of the interference, but you can certainly talk all over the place. But CB is supposed to be a local two-way radio service. It's supposed to be a 16-kilometre range. We get 35 miles range, mobile to base, on totally legal gear. But the secret here is that we've got roof-mounted, drilled into the car aerials, and all the cables are industrial grade. So this base station cable, it's only the mobile feeder, but it's industrial, and you know, our thin cable will be equal to the thick cable sold in the CB shops. So this comes from RS Components, and they're a trade supplier. So that's what we do, and it works for us. So there's nothing elitist here. Everything is easily repeatable. So with that, and it hasn't said anything, even though it's been sat on 19 for all that time, we'll catch you for the on-the-air test, which hopefully we'll do later on today. So thank you for watching the Cobra 19DX Mark IV EU.